Standard Chartered won several awards, Best Emerging Market Banks, and several awards in Africa. First of all, let's talk about the awards. What do they mean, and what kind of a feeling generate at the bank?
Well, I think they're hugely significant for us, and they actually mean an awful lot to our staff as well, who, as you know, work extremely hard around the world to generate a good business with our clients and customers. So they mean a lot to us, and I think they really endorse the effort that people are making around the world.
Now, these awards take place during the IMF and annual meetings, IMF World Bank annual meeting. Can you tell us what is the atmosphere, what is the mood, both, I would say, in general, macro, if you want, and then specifically more on business for you?
I think the mood is one of anticipation, and I think in some sense I'd describe it as a divided mood. I think on the one hand people have some genuine concerns about Western policy. There's clearly anxiety about the debt ceiling and the current arguments going on in Washington. But on the other hand, I think we're also seeing a renewed confidence in emerging markets, a belief that actually for large parts of the world there is a very exciting future and that we're seeing real economic growth prospects. So I think it's in some sense a divided mood, but I think generally the mood is actually more optimistic than you would have found this time last year.
Actually, going more in the specific of Africa, from our perspective, Africa is definitely the growing continent, more business, more interest, more activity, more need for knowledge. Can you tell us, from your position, coming to these meetings, you definitely feel this increased, renewed interest?
Absolutely, and I spoke on a panel yesterday at the IIF on Africa. It's the first time the IIF had an African panel. We're seeing significantly renewed interest from American investors, which hasn't been the case in the past in the continent. So pretty much wherever you go around the world now, I think the interest in investing and doing business in Africa has seen a significant uptick in the last year or two.
Something like specific sectors or specific area, or is it more general interest for Africa?
Well, obviously the classic interest has always been in the resource sector, and with the new resource finds, particularly in East Africa, that continues to be a big sector for Africa. I think the new developments, though, are really around the consumer sector. So what you're starting to see is a real rise in the consuming class in Africa, and brands and companies from all the way around the world starting to expand in Africa to sell to African consumers, and that I think is the new development.